Hello everyone, I'm Rosphere, and I am so excited to finally be able to talk about Shadowbringers. I've been waiting for weeks to actually play this because it took me a while to get everything set up for live streaming. I put it off entirely while I've been setting everything up, making my VTuber and getting live streaming set up and all this other stuff. It's a real pain. There's so much work that goes into all this stuff. It's actually kind of crazy. All that being said, though, I have a bone to pick with you guys because not a single person prepared me for what was about to happen in Shadowbringers. You'll just let it happen. You let me get hit with a ton of bricks, and it was kind of awesome. But that being said, before we get started, this video will have spoilers. If you don't want to have things spoiled, now would be a good time to click off the video. So go ahead and do that. And I'm going to move right on to introducing you guys to somebody. This is my VTuber model. This is what I've been working on for so long. It took me about a week, and about 8 days to really get this thing to where it is now. It's still not completely finished, but it needs a little bit of work and stuff like that still. It's not quite where I want it, but it's workable. It looks good. I really like the way she looks. I'm really excited to be able to use her on the YouTube channel and Twitch and all this other stuff. It's absolutely awesome. Again, thank you guys for honestly waiting for me to get started in Shadowbringers. But yeah, so with that being said, let's get right into it. I don't know. It's kind of hard to know exactly where to start, so I guess we'll just start at the very beginning where you talk to Tataru and she doesn't shoot you off. You have another one of those headaches and you finally get taken out to this strange land, and unlike everybody else, your body is fully ripped to the other land, whereas everybody else is just their spirit went. And you land out in the middle of this forest, and it's like all purple and like crazy bright and stuff like that. And basically through context, you can kind of figure out, hey, this is probably where the Warriors of Darkness were. This is probably their homeland, and you're being called over there to help save the land because it, was the light almost destroyed everything. And it's really cool because they just feed you a bunch of context clues to like let you know, hey, this is where you're at. They don't just tell you immediately. They tell you eventually, but it's not like they just come out and say, hey, this is where you are. It's trickled, to you, and it lets you figure it out on your own, which feels really good. And you meet this this character when you in the forest, and it reminded me of the guy that we first met in the very first cutscene of A Realm Reborn, where you're riding this carriage or whatever. He's on the carriage, and then towards the end of A Realm Reborn, he's back again. And yeah, I think it was that guy. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's who he was. I don't know if it's the same guy though, or if it's just like an alternate universe version of that guy. I don't know. But you meet him, and then as you go off to the towards the Crystal Tower, the Crystarium. You head off towards the Crystarium, and you meet one of the guards. She stops you and doesn't let you in. A Sin Eater comes, and she kills the Sin Eater, and after the Sin Eater poofs, it has this ring in its stomach, which was something that the guy was wearing. So it's like, I guess he was eaten. And I don't know. I don't know for sure if he was actually eaten or not. Like, it makes me wonder if that's actually what happened, or if something else happened to him, or if he's just still around. Now, the other thing I think might have happened to him is maybe that he was actually converted into one of the Sin Eaters, because that can happen, which is a big part of why you guys, nobody told me. Nobody warned me what was going to happen, and it was so brutal. We'll talk about that later, though. Anyways, I go to the Crystarium, do the tour and everything, and talk to the Exarch. He sends you off to Alphinaud and Alice, and I went to Alphinaud first, because basically it looked like potentially I could go around the map counterclockwise based on the way that the quests possibly could turn out, like the characters you go see in order. And it just felt more ordered to do it that way. So I went off to see Alphinaud first. And he's at the I can't say the name of this place. It's like Kaluuya or something. Kaluai. I don't know. The place with all the rich people and the fat Mikote. And that was just crazy because it, like, there was some really like complex like levels of like politics and stuff going on with that story, which I find really interesting. It's part of the reason why I like Stormblood so much. And you're over there, and it's like this. It's I guess it's like a monarchy, in a way, where it's like, you know, the king's up top, or dictatorship would be a better way to put it. It's like a dictatorship mixed with like a weird form of communism, where everybody kind of works, and then all the rich people get the money, and people hope that they get chosen, and essentially they hope that they win the lottery so that they can go up into this tower and be part of the elites or whatever. Even if they're just working for the elites, they get to live in paradise. The rest of them like live in these ramshackle shacks below this opulent city up above, and it's the people that live down below basically refuse. They don't work. They don't create anything. They don't do anything at all. They just sit around, collect, just wasting time until hopefully they get chosen to go up into this build, and to win the lottery essentially, so that they can not work and also live in luxury. It's just this really weird setup of politics. Like it's a really kind of crazy, because it feels like there's been societies within real life that existed that are fairly close to that, and in some cases almost today, like people relying on government and stuff like that for handouts. And I don't know. I don't want to talk about politics or anything. It's just really interesting the way that was set up. And then of course you meet the Chais once you do get in to the castle. Oh, I forgot to talk about the two jester ladies, who I hate because they rhyme everything and then they don't rhyme when you expect them to continue to rhyme, and it just bothers me. But anyways, those two jester ladies are awful, and they seem evil. But once you do get into the city with Alphinaud, because you came up with this like scheme to get up there, there was also another scheme that you came up with, or Alphinaud came up with, but he gave that scheme to somebody else so that they could get into the city. And then Alphinaud used another one to get into the city. So you get into the city with Alphinaud, and you meet the Chais. I don't remember their first names, but the Chais are two Mikote that are married. The man is an average Mikote, and then the female is like probably 6 female Mikotes in one. She's just massively fat. And it's kind of cool because there's like this really how do I put this? It was really cool because you could tell like Alphinaud's up there to paint a picture of these two Mikote together, right? And he like sketches the picture out, and he sketched them as they are, right? So the male Mikote is, thin and everything, and then the fat Mikote, she's really fat. Painted them as they are. And the husband saw it and told him it was terrible and wanted him to repaint or start over because it just wasn't good, right? He wants his wife to look beautiful, and he wants her to be perfect and all this other stuff. And it wasn't right, basically, is what he was saying. It wasn't what he was expecting. It wasn't okay. So he had set all this up, or he had said all this stuff, and he was, upset by the painting, or the drawing, I should say. And the fat Mikote, she sees it eventually, and she's really happy with it because she said it captured their love perfectly. And it struck me as like they probably got married, right? So it's like I can imagine like they got married. She was probably really thin, and over time she got massively fat, and he stayed the same. But in his mind, she is still that same person that he married, right? Because he probably didn't marry her specifically for her looks. He married her because they were best friends, and he wants her to be in the painting the way he sees her in his mind, because he doesn't see her as she is. He sees her as she was, and as she was is perfect to him. He doesn't. It's weird to explain, but it was like this really awesome bit of like a little bit of like a love story. I'm sure it's going to come back, but it was really kind of cool to see that intricacy within just a small little side story that was basically just an excuse for you to get Alphinaud up into the into that building. And then while you're up there, there's a big commotion or whatever, and the king of this place, which I'm forgetting his name, who I said the female Mikote is massively fat. He is probably like 10 of the massively fat Mikote. He's just an absolute blob. Like his chin fat or his cheek fat rolls into his double chin fat, and then it overflows out from underneath his head. It's actually ridiculous. It's just unbelievable. And he has a whole host of sin eaters up there, which I kind of got based on, again, the context clues that they were setting up, because they said, hey, there's almost no sin eater attacks in this part of this world because he controls the sin eaters. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. That was my first thought, is like, that doesn't sound right. He probably doesn't really control them. He's probably making that up. And then it was like, you meet this this girl who has an issue with her throat, and she can't sing for her host anymore. So what he's going to do is recommend her to be like led off by these sin eaters to be taken to heaven, right? Which is essentially just letting them eat her, right? They're not actually like ascending, right? Which they call it like an ascension. They're not actually ascending. So, and as soon as I found out that that is what was happening, I was like, oh, so he's sacrificing people, saying that he's sending them to heaven, and in turn, the sin eaters are calm because they're well fed. And it's like, okay, so this all makes sense now. As soon as I found that out, I knew exactly what was going on there. Assuming I'm not incorrect. I could be incorrect, but it hasn't really explained everything, but that's kind of where I assume things are. And yeah, so anyways, there's this big commotion. You go up there, you see this massively fat king, and he's surrounded by sin eaters that are just docile and not, eating anybody. And the person that Alphinaud had given his idea to get up into the city couldn't uphold his end of the bargain because he didn't come up with the idea, right? He's not a businessman. So the king had basically ordered him to either kill himself or cut a piece of his body off to feed to the sin eaters. And it's like, what the fuck? So of course Alphinaud heals him, hits him with the deepest, biggest burn of all time, and walks away. And the king doesn't. It's funny because he doesn't even realize at first that he's been insulted, and he just sits there kind of smiling as you're walking away. And then after you're basically gone, he's like, "Wait, did he just insult me?" And then he starts throwing the biggest baby fit of all time, and he rolls forward and starts smashing the ground with his fists just over and over and over. It was hilarious. It was a great cutscene. Absolutely awesome. And pretty much not long after that, you end up leaving this dystopian paradise area, which I really don't like that place. Now, like I thought it looked cool before, because I had played through before, and I just skipped literally everything. That was the last time I played, and I spent a little bit of time in that town. Now I actually don't want to, now that I know the truth behind it. Even though I remember there being a bunch of people there before, during Shadowbringers. I don't want to spend time in that place anymore because of what's actually going on there. It kind of weirds me out. Anyways, but you go back to the Crystarium. talk to the Exarch again, and he sends you off to Alphinaud. So you go off to Alphinaud, and while you're there, you learn a lot about this stuff that's been going on with this infection, I guess, which is, again, getting close to the point where, yeah, I wasn't ready for it, especially this soon in the story. Like, it only took me about 6.5 hours to get to this point, or 6 hours to get to this point, I should say, and it was just brutal. But yeah, you go through this town, or you fly over there, and then you go straight over to this town, and in this town it has a bunch of the kobolds, which all the races have different names. They literally thought of everything in this story. They explain everything away. I haven't been able to find any loopholes, and because they're explaining everything away so well, it makes me want to keep looking to see where the loopholes are. But all the races have new names. I don't know the name of the new race of the kobolds over there. They're kobolds. So these kobolds, and one of the funniest quests I think I've done in the MSQ was having to break coin or break your wallet or something like that. It was like break coin purse, crack your purse, crack your coin purse. It doesn't matter. You have to buy something in town with this coin that you got. So you are sent to this guy Ron, and you're told to buy food, and he gives you 4 options, and one of them is like honey-covered grubs, like these nasty-looking worms, like raw-looking lizard meat. There's this cactus bread that actually looked like it would be pretty good in real life, and then frogs on a stick. So of course, I chose the worms because I thought it would be funny. And then when you buy the worms, he's like, "Oh, that's a lot of money. Here's 15 jars." So you end up eating them all. Your character almost dies. Warrior of Light, never seen again. It was really funny. It was great. Yeah, that was one of the funniest moments in the MSQ for me. That was awesome. But while you're there, before you go out to the desert again, you meet Tesleen. And Tesleen is heading to this inn, which is not really an inn. It's more of a hospice type setup. And you escort her back, and you meet all the people. You meet some of the people that are in the hospice or whatever. There's I forget their names. The only one I remember is Harlech. But yeah, and then that's where Alphinaud is as well. So you get over there. She sends you out to go find Alphinaud because Alphinaud is doing a I don't even know what it's called. Patrol. There you go. She's on a patrol, and you go out and find Alphinaud, have a talk with her, catch up a little bit, then finish the patrol, come back, and yes, all that stuff. And when you get back, you notice that Harlech is he's close to the end. His skin is like turning hard and stuff like that because he's got this infection, and the infection is basically the light is taking over these people's body, and they're going to turn into sin eaters. So what they do is they find these people's like their favorite meal, and before they turn into a sin eater, they poison the meal so that they can eat their favorite meal and then die without pain. Now, so you are sent out to get a nectarine and bring that back. You go out with Alphinaud, you get the nectarine, you bring it back. This is where you find out, what the nectarine is actually for. And it's pretty sad because you assume when you get back that you're going to have to, basically watch Harlech die. And that's not what happens. They decided to not feed it to Harlech, which ends up being, at least as far as I know, the worst mistake that could have possibly been made. Because essentially what happens next is a more powerful sin eater comes by, and Harlech had wandered off, and the sin eater is after Harlech, and everybody notices that Harlech is gone, so they go out and try to find him, And of course, as you find him, Tesleen is there, and she, attacks the Saint Eater to try and save Harlech. And as she does so, she gets stabbed through the back. And it was just probably the hardest moment. Not the hardest moment, but it was pretty close for the entirety of the story for me. I couldn't believe that had happened. And when I say entirety of the story, I mean like every expansion. That was like easily like one of the top saddest parts. Was seeing Tesleen get stabbed through the back, because they built her up as such a nice person, and you wanted to see her succeed. And it was really, really rough to see it. And it was funny because chat, of course, Twitch chat was like, "Welcome to Shadowbringers," as that happened, and I was like, "You motherfuckers knew," and you didn't say a damn thing that this shit was about to happen. Y'all are sitting there, like probably with tears running down your eyes, out of your eyes or tears running down your cheek because of how sad what's happening is happening, but also with a smile on your face because I'm experiencing it for the first time. It's like a sick, twisted pleasure, and it's funny because I've actually started watching people on Twitch, going through MSQ and stuff like that as well. But part of what made it so hard for me too was the fact that what she turns into, the face and the neck of it, looks exactly like the face and the neck from, and this is going to be a spoiler for Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood. I'm assuming if you haven't seen it now, you're not going to watch it because it's been out forever. But it looked exactly like the saddest moment in that anime, and that's when this little girl, there's this little girl, she's like 4 or 5 or so. She's really cute and loves playing, super nice, just amazing little girl, right? And she has this dog, and it's her best friend. And her father is doing these experiments or whatever, and does an experiment on her and merges her with the dog, and she becomes this homunculus or whatever it is. I think that's what it's called. And it's so sad. I don't even want to talk about it because it'll break me. Those of you who know. And it looked just like that, and it reminded me of that, and it made that scene 10 times sadder. It was really difficult. Anyways, I made it through that, and after that I was like, after we go back to the Crystarium with Alice, I think I'm going to stop streaming because that was just too brutal. I couldn't keep going after that. I was fine leading up to that. I was super nervous still, like that whole time, like I had butterflies in my stomach the whole stream. But getting to that point, and it was just like straight down. I had no energy left. I just wanted to go sit down and just look at the wall for a while, which is what I did after I got off. I just went and sat down and just like collected my thoughts and stuff because it was so sad. But yeah, the lives, that's basically where I ended at. So, got Alice back to the Crystarium, and we're about to like talk to Alphinaud, the Exarch, and Alice to see where we're going next, and see what we're gonna do to try and annihilate all of the Saint Eaters, which I am predicting that as a monk, I'm going to do that by punching them. So, and I'm looking forward to doing that by punching them, especially that one that stabbed Tesleen, because fuck her. Also, fuck Harlech, because that shit wouldn't have happened if that little bastard didn't go out there. I'm so mad at that if it was up to me, would put his ass down. I'm so upset with Harlech for doing that because it's his fault. That's just, it. Like in the end, it's his fault. I don't really care what the reasoning for him going out there was. I'm blaming him for what happened currently. Like, as I know it in the story is right now, it's his fault, and I hate him. So, yeah, I will be streaming more more frequently, I should say, coming soon. And these videos should be coming out more regularly. It was a little bit of a struggle for me to get it out because I started streaming on Sunday. I was really nervous leading up to Sunday for like at least 4 or 5 days. I couldn't focus on anything because I was just like thinking about the live stream and like, is everything going to be ready? Am I going to be like all this other stuff? It was awful. But anyways, the videos should be coming out fairly regularly, just like they have been. Still plan on doing Mondays and Thursdays for upload days. So they should still be coming. Today is a little bit of a miss because I didn't get anything done after what happened to Ali Say on Sunday. So yeah, look forward to things continuing, and I look forward to continuing live streaming and stuff like that, and seeing everybody next time. Yeah. So with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and like, subscribe, do all those things if you're still here. I'm assuming you aren't here, but whatever. Anyways, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.